Good morning, boys and girls. Welcome to Monday. I hope you're having a great start of the week. And today we are on lesson 23, and our goal for today is student will be able to analyze the structural elements of Love That Dog. Don't forget, you need your novel book, Love That Dog, in front of you. You also need your daily comprehension. Make sure you're on the page that says Monday. And on Monday, it says creating mental images. Because remember, the use of a lot of figurative language, like similes, metaphors, creates an image in my head. Remember, I'm using my five senses, which is sensory details, or it's also called imagery. So don't forget, fourth graders, imagery and sensory language is the same thing. So say it with me. Ready? Imagery or sensory language appeals to my five senses. So remember, what you hear, what you can taste, what you can touch, what you can hear, what you can smell. And let's go ahead and get started. So the structure of a poem, boys and girls, what are we going to do? We're going to identify the structure of a poem, the lines, the stanzas, the line breaks, the rhyme, if there's any, the type of poem. And number two is the type of poem. Well, is it a narrative, lyrical, humorous, and free verse? So the book that we're reading right now, Love That Dog, it does have a character. What is his name? Jack. Okay, what is the setting? We infer the setting is where? In a classroom. Okay, and what is happening? Is the speaker telling us a story? Is the speaker making us laugh? Remember, the speaker is a poet, or nothing rhymes in there. So I know that the novel that I'm reading right now is a narrative, right? It has a story, it has a setting, it has a problem. The problem was that Jack didn't want to write poetry, but now he looks like he's getting into poetry, right? All right, let's go ahead and go to the how points. We're going to number the lines. We're going to label the stanzas and line breaks. We're going to read the poem. Remember, as a good reader, we always have to go back and reread the poem. Why is this important, boys and girls? It's important to understand the reason the speaker or the poet wrote the poem and used simile, alliteration, onomatopoeia. So sometimes they use all of these at the same time. Sometimes they only use one of them. So it really depends why the speaker wrote the poem. So our launch, we are in the question that says, how do the characters in Love That Dog show a characteristics of a great heart? Remember, characteristic is something that describes the character. Are they being kind? Are they being courageous? Are they being brave? What are they doing? So make sure you go to Love That Dog page 12. On page 12, it starts with November 9. And our goal for today is, remember, we're going to tell the type of poem that is in Love That Dog. Is it a narrative? Does it tell a story with character settings and a problem? Is it lyrical? Does it sound like a song? Like the poem that we read called The Tiger by William Blake. Tiger, tiger, burning bright in the forest of a night. So it has a rhythm to it, right? Is it humorous? Humorous. Is it making us laugh? Or is it a free verse that has no rhythm and no rhyme? Boys and girls, so page 12 starts with November 9. Remember, at the beginning, how was Jack feeling? Jack was feeling very negative towards poetry, right? He didn't like it. He said he tried it, couldn't do it, brain was empty, and that poetry was for gross. Then what happened? He read the poem by Robert Frost, right? He really didn't understand it, and then he wrote a poem himself. So he went from being very negative towards poetry to actually writing a poem. And what was that poem about? So it was about a blue car splattered with mud speeding down the road, right? And then he added to his poem, he said it was speeding like a comet in the sky. So he said it was going extremely fast. He used a simile. Remember, he used the word like a comet in the sky, so that is simile. He's comparing it to the comet. Now, he says he doesn't want to explain why he wrote about the blue car, but we know we could infer that the blue car, boys and girls, is very important to him because he keeps talking about it. He keeps comparing it to something else. So let's start with November 9. I don't have any pets, so I can write about one. And especially, I can write a poem about one. Boys and girls, I want you to see how these letters are in capital. The speaker did that, or the poet did that, to emphasize or make a point that Jack is saying, I can write a poem about one. So here, boys and girls, we could infer, we can tell that the teacher is asking Jack to write about what? To write about a pet, right? But he's saying, I don't have any. I can't write one, and especially I can't write a poem about one. So he's still being very standoff, right? He's not really wanting to cooperate with the teacher. And we could infer that the teacher is being very kind to him because all Jack is doing is asking questions. Page 13. Make sure you're reading along in your book while I read. November 15. Yes, I used to have a pet. I don't want to write about it. You're going to ask me, why not? Right? Boys and girls, look at this. So the speaker used italics. Remember when the letters look to the side? Those are called italics. He's trying to make a point that, oh, Jack already knows. The teacher asked a lot of questions and she's going to ask, can you tell me more about the pet you used to have? So he's already anticipating her questioning. Let's go ahead and flip it over. November 22nd. Pretend I still have a pet? Can't I make up a pet? A different one? Like a tiger or a hamster or a goldfish, a turtle, snail, worm, flea? So boys and girls, what can we infer? We can conclude what is happening here. Miss Stretchberry, what is she doing? Miss Stretchberry is telling Jack, hey Jack, can you pretend you have a pet so that you can write a poem? And look what he says. Can I make up a pet? Does it sound like he wants to make up a pet, boys and girls? No, right? He doesn't want to make up a pet. Okay, boys and girls, so I want you to go to the back of your book. So we're going to pause right here in this page 14, and I want you to go all the way to the back. And I want you to find the poem that says Dog by Valerie Worth. And it's the same one that I have in the front, in the screen. So it says, Under a Maple Tree. So it's Dog, and it's by Valerie Worth. That's the speaker. That's the poet. So I could already start inferencing that it's going to be about a pet. Let's start reading. Under a maple tree, the dog lies down, lolls his limp tongue, yawns, rests his long chin carefully between front paws, looks up alert, chops with heavy jaws at a slow fly, blinks row on his side, sighs, closes his eyes, sleeps all afternoon in his loose skin. Boys and girls, what is this poem about? It's about a dog, okay? Yes, you're right. So close your eyes. Now, the speaker here used a lot of sensory details or imagery to have the reader paint a picture in their head of what is happening. So ready? Close your eyes. I'm going to read the poem and tell me what you would see. Under a maple tree, the dog lies down, lolls his limp tongue, yawns, rests his long chin carefully between front paws, looks up alert, chops with heavy jaws at a slow fly, blinks, rows on his side, sighs, closes his eyes, sleeps all afternoon in his loose skin. So boys and girls, what did you see in that poem? So when you closed your eyes, you saw what? So you saw the dog, right? What was he doing? He was yawning, then he had his little head in between his front paws, and then what happened? A fly was flying in front of him, right? And what did the dog do? It chops right at it, right? You know when dogs, a fly gets near them and they just chop it at them, means that they're trying to eat the fly? That's what the dog did. And then what did it do? Then he rolled to his side. He's very tired, right? And what did he do? He closed his eyes, he fell asleep, and look how the speaker describes the skin of the dog. He has loose skin, right? So he's maybe an older dog. So we know it's not a puppy because the speaker says in his loose skin. Usually the ones that have loose skin is older dogs. So oh my goodness, so much sensory details or imagery used in this. He's under a maple tree. Okay, I can see the tree. I can see the dog laying down. Then he gets up. He's yawning. Then he's resting his face in between his little paws. And then he hears a fly. He chops at it. Then I guess he gets tired. He rows to his side. He closes his eyes. And all of his loose skin is just there. I love this poem. Okay, now we're going to read it a third time and we're going to identify how many lines it has. So how many lines does it have in total? Remember, 1, 2, So how many lines did you get? There's a total of 16 lines, right? How many stanzas? There's just one big stanza. Good. How about line breaks? Does my finger fit in between here any of the lines? No. So how many line breaks are there? There is 0. Now, boys and girls, what type of poem is this? Is it a narrative? Does it have a character, a setting, and something that is happening? Is it a lyrical? Does it sound like a song? Is it expressing feelings? Is it a free verse? That means that nothing has rhythm or rhyme. Or is it humorous? Are you laughing? Okay, so I went ahead and numbered it. I want you to copy this in your composition book. Remember, dog is talking about an animal. Valerie Worth is my speaker or my poet. And we have to read it one more time to identify the type of poem. Under a maple tree, the dog lies down, lolls his limp tongue, yawns, rests his long chin carefully between front paws, looks up alert, chops with heavy jaws at a slow fly, blinks, rows on his side, sighs, closes, his eyes sleeps all afternoon in his loose skin. So boys and girls, I'm going to start with my end rhyme, and I'm going to look at the last word in every single line. For example, tree. I always start with the letter A. Now I'm going to go down the line and see what rhymes. So tree and down, do they rhyme? No, so that means that down needs to find a new family, which would be family B. What about limp and tree? No, limp and down? No, so that one would be letter C. What about yawns? Yawns and tree? Nope. Yawns and down? No. Yawns and limp? No, they don't sound the same. Remember, we're looking for the same sound and rhyme. What about chin? Chin and tree? Chin and down? Chin and limp? Chin and yawns? No, so that one's going to be a new family, which is E. What about between? Between and tree? Between and down? Between and limp? Between and yawns? Between and chin? No, so that one's letter F. What about pause? Pause and tree? Pause and down? Pause limp? Pause and yawns? Yes, right, those two rhyme. So look at this. Yawns is part of letter D, so that means pause should be what part of family? Letter D, very good. What about alert? Alert and tree? No, alert and down? Alert and limp? Alert and yawns? Alert and chin? Alert between? Alert and pause? Nothing rhymes, so that one would be after letter F. Because remember, we went back to D, but we stayed off in F. What's after letter F? G, good job. What about heavy? Heavy tree? Heavy down? Heavy limp? Heavy yawns? Heavy chin? Heavy between? Heavy pause? Heavy alert. What's after letter G? H. Good job, boys and girls. So I'm going to let you do lines 10 through 16. I'm going to give you 1 minute. Remember, you're writing this in your composition book. Number it 1 through 16 and tell me if anything rhymes. So 1 minute starts now. I want you to do the same thing I did. Fly and tree. Fly and down. Fly and limp. Fly yawns. Fly and chin. Fly between. Fly pause. Fly alert. Fly heavy. So if nothing rhymes, remember there's a next letter. You have 35 seconds. $20 seconds. $10 seconds. Everybody should be writing. And time is up. Girls, let's go ahead and start checking line 10. Fly. Did it rhyme with anything? It did not. So it is what family? I. Good. What about rose? Did it rhyme with anything? It did not. So what family member would it be? J. Good job. What about line 12? Sight. Does it rhyme with anything? It does not. What's the next letter? Okay, good job. What about closest? Did it rhyme with any other word? No, so the next family member would be L. Good. What about sleeps? Did it rhyme with anything? No, what's the next letter after L? M. What about afternoon? Did afternoon rhyme with any other words? No, so it would be letter N. Good. What about skin? Did skin rhyme with anything else? Line 16. Yes, line 16 and line 5 rhyme, right? So what was line 5? Letter E, right? Chin. So that means chin and skin rhyme. So what letter would skin be for line 16? E. Great job if you said E. Make sure you check these and that you write all of them down. If you got it wrong, it's okay. Just make a correction. Okay, boys and girls, let's go back to page 15 of Love That Dog. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. We are on November 29, page 15. And the reason why we read the poem Dog is because Jack is actually going to talk about it later on. All right, ready? November 29. I like those small poems we read today. When they're small like that, you can read a whole bunch in a short time. And then in your head, all of the pictures and all of the small things from all of the small poems. I like how the kitten leaped in the cat poem and how you could see the long head of the horse in the horse poem. And especially I like the dog in the dog poem because that's just how my yellow dog used to lie down with his tongue all limp and his chin between his paws, and how he'd sometimes chop at a fly and then sleep in his loose skin, just like that poet Miss Valerie Worth. Oh, boys and girls, what just happened? What did Jack just reveal to us? He likes poetry. Look at that. We can infer now that he actually loves poetry. He went from not wanting to write poetry, not wanting to try it, said tried it, brain is empty, to now he actually likes them, boys and girls. So we could infer he loves poetry. Now, what type of poetry does he like? He likes the small ones, right? Kind of like the one that we just read, Dog by Valerie Worth. He says he likes them. Why? Because it has a lot of what? Has a lot of sensory details or imagery, right? So he can see it in his head. He closes his eye. He says that he can see all of that. But especially, boys and girls, he said that he liked the poem by Valerie Worth because it reminds him of his yellow dog that he used to have. Look what it says. So on stanza 3 on November 29, look what it says. I like how the kitten leaped in the cat poem and how you can see the long head of the horse in the horse poem. Oh, that imagery, boys and girls. And especially, I like the dog in the dog poem because that's just how my yellow dog used to lie down. So what color is his dog? It used to be yellow, right? With his tongue all limp and his chin between his paws. So what would his dog do? He would also take out his little tongue, right, and just have it, and he would put his little head in between his paws. And he sometimes chop at a fly and then sleep in his loose skin, just like that poet, Miss Valerie Worth. So we already know Jack used to have a yellow dog who is also had loose skin, so we inferred that that was an older dog. And he's talking more about that now. All right, flip the page. We are now page 16. Says in her small dog poem. So this one's part of that one. Sorry. All right, December 4th, page 17. Well, so we started in September. Now it's December, boys and girls. So it's been a couple of months that Jack actually likes poetry. But let's read December 4th. Why do you want to type out what I wrote about the reading the small poems? It's not a poem, is it? I guess you can put it on the board, but if you want to, but don't put my name on it in case other people think it's not a poem. So boys and girls, is he feeling very confident towards his poetry? No, right? He's not really feeling very confident. He's very shy. He's saying, okay, you can put them up. And we could infer the teacher is asking him, hey, Jack, your poems are really good. Can I put them up? And he's saying, yes, but he's very shy. He's insecure that it's not good poetry. December 13, we're now on page 18. I guess it does look like a poem when you see it typed up like that, but I think maybe it would be better if there was more space between the lines, like how I wrote it the first time. And I like the picture of the yellow dog you put beside it. But that's not how my yellow dog looked. So boys and girls, what is happening? What did the teacher do? So Miss Stretchberry put it in front of the class, right? And she also included a what? Look what it says. I like the picture of the yellow dog you put beside it. So she put a little picture, kind of like when we do a summary and then we draw a little picture. She put a picture next to it of a yellow dog. And how did that make Jack feel? It made him feel good, right? That he was able to share that. But look what it says. That's not how my yellow dog looked. So he's still not 100% sure of everything Miss Stretchberry is doing. So remember, in the beginning, Jack did not like poetry. He hated it. He tried it, said he couldn't do it. In the middle, after reading some poems by Robert Frost, William Carlos, and the one that we just read by Valerie Worth, he actually started liking poetry. And we can infer now he likes poetry. He loves poetry. And then he's letting Miss Stretchberry put up his poetry in front of the whole class for everyone to see. Boys and girls, Jack has changed so much from September all the way to December 13. Okay, so go ahead and take out your creating mental images paper comprehension for Monday and go ahead and put your name, date, and goal, and I will see you live in our class. You need this because this is what we're going to start with. We're going to go back and reread. Remember, good readers go back and reread the selection or a section, and this is where we stayed off for today. So I will see everybody in our live session.